So, I wanted to try out the MMORPG that started it all, created by Brad McQuaid, Steve Clover, and Bill Trost. And as you guys know, McQuaid is working on a new MMO, Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen, which is trying to harken back to those roots of the MMO genre. So, in preparation for Pantheon, why not try EverQuest, right? I always heard about EverQuest playing WoW back in the day, even when I was younger. But I will admit, I looked at it the wrong way. The WoW community, for the most part, very much from my experience, didn't really value EverQuest much. I still remember one of the earlier videos from, I believe, Burning Crusade, where the guy was pissed because his friend went to go play EverQuest, right? You guys know the video I'm talking about. And the more and more I played EverQuest this past weekend, I think I understand why people from the WoW community didn't value EverQuest very much. EverQuest is a much more different experience as WoW, yet it's in the same genre, which doesn't make much sense at first, but let me explain. EverQuest feels, in my opinion, much more immersive, much more engaging. It's more of a, quote, Dungeons and Dragons feel for a large variety of reasons. The first thing I noticed, guys, is the wide variety of classes and races in the game. That is the first thing I noticed, of course, when I logged in and tried to create a character. The plenty of classes to choose from, and the races. You know what I liked about the races? When I played MMO, I like the idea of being able to pick an abnormal race, right? When you log into the world and don't see many like bestial races, like just look at the differential races they have: ogres, trolls, Ixar, lizard race, the dark elves. Very interesting, wide spread of races that I enjoy in MMO. It makes me feel like I'm playing in a fantasy universe, right? And there's also these features such as choosing your own, I hope I pronounced this right, deity, or deity, this religion, right? And picking stat points. And this religion also, not to mention, that affects your ability to play with others and NPCs in the game, because some NPCs don't like the religion you choose. And then you can pick your stat points. While in World of Warcraft, it's just given to you at character creation, right? And then as soon as you log in, you're planted in a world, nowhere to go. It's not linear like in other MMOs, such as World of Warcraft, with all the exclamation points, and it kind of just like tells you where to go, right? And you don't know what to do. So you start grinding. You grind mobs. And you realize quickly there's no map. There's no map in EverQuest. And it immediately becomes more immersive. You feel like the world is massive immediately because of that factor alone. You then realize every mob around you, any creature you pull, is like pulling a creature in a dungeon in World of Warcraft. Even considering it's a PvE server, guys, it feels like you're constantly watching your back. It feels like in World of Warcraft on a PvP server, watching your back for other players, but in EverQuest, it's about watching the creatures around you to make sure they're not pulling, or you're going to have a bad time. You see, mobs in EverQuest are very dangerous and rely on a system called consideration, where if you press C on your keyboard when targeting a monster, each mob has a different variety of level, relying on the color of the chat message, ranging, I believe, from green all the way to red. And so if you pull a mob, you don't consider it, and it's red, you are very likely to instantly die, right? But what's next after you die? You have to go back to get your corpse. And you spawned at your bind location, aka, Hearthstone and WoW. And your items are on your corpse, and you have to go find your corpse to get your items again, and not to mention, you lose a little bit of experience points. And you might even lose a level. But what's that? You don't have a map, so you're on an adventure again, trying to find your corpse. This in turn, guys, with finding your corpse, troubling adventures, trying to kill mobs and grind at a faster pace, it immediately promotes socializing, grouping, understanding the community more. And then, of course, the grinding. There's like no quest in EverQuest, even though the name has the word quest in it. If there are quests, the more known quests are like class quests at much higher level in WoW, say like Benediction or Rock Dolar. But even on a higher, or the Scarab Lord, but even on a higher tier of level and journey, it's much more in depth. Right? And you'd think grinding, that's not fun. How is killing the same mobs over and over fun? But while I was playing, it didn't feel that way. It was a different kind of grind. It felt like I was achieving something and growing my character every single pull. I was enjoying myself, even in a group or solo when I was offline. You see, even after I streamed, I actually played again. I logged back in to make a new character. I made an Ixar Necromancer when I originally had a Dark Elf Cleric. And I wanted to solo adventure, to see if I'd still enjoy my time with or without a group. And lo and behold, I did. I played solo and I still enjoyed myself. And not only did I enjoy being solo, the funny thing was, the cycle of socializing was there again, even offline. I was met with new players who didn't know who I was, they didn't know I was a YouTube person or streamer, and the cycle of socializing continued, with or without the stream. But you see, it's not just these things that made me enjoy EverQuest. It was the little things, too, that made it even more of a fun time. The East Commons Tunnel, for example. So in EverQuest, there's no auction house, at least on Project 1999. The East Commons Tunnel, where everybody would go together to sell items and socialize. And that's one of the main reasons why I don't like auction houses in MMOs, because in the East Common Tunnel, you see this wide variety of people socializing, selling, doing player-to-player trading, like it was old school RuneScape all over again, before Grand Exchange. I love that. And then the weather, the fact that you're just going around in the zones, and not to mention that the music too, the old school 90s feel music. If you love that 90s feel to video games, with the 8-bit sounds and all of that, you would love EverQuest, right? The weather, the lightning, the thunder, the rain, the music, it all comes together to make the experience much immersive, and I just immediately fell in love with it, right? With the music and the weather. And gaining faction and understanding religions and which factions dislike each other. Not to mention exploring my main town, which was hectic in itself without a map, and knowing the danger surrounding me in the world, adventuring the world, not knowing where I was, with no map and constantly wondering if I was going to die. And all of the major things and those small things considered, I think I'm going to continue playing EverQuest, guys, and possibly finishing my journey, even though from stories I've heard it takes quite a long time, guys. And during this journey already, though, I wonder, why are most of these systems gone? How is dumbing down a genre so much fun? What makes that fun? Why are games today becoming so goddamn simplified? It's not just MMOs, but it's just games in general, man. And the sad fact is, MMOs are the ones that bite the bullet the most. MMOs are supposed to be massive worlds. They were meant for these complex systems. And when you take these systems away, these worlds shrink. And that journey we talked about transforms into just a small trek.